to dry a little bit sometimes.
Okay, let's take a look at our map. We got map bans up for you. 7 maps in total in our pool, left with Oregon. There it is. Des again, not casting.
It's 3 times in a row now.
Imagine your
It ain't
name.
a cast, but I'll take the analysis, okay? I've had two analyzing out of those 3 games. Come on.
Fair enough. Imagine your name being Gary Holt and not casting Oregon, right, Lamau? So, is this the right decision? Very quick, Hap, I'm going to give it to you because Des is out of here.
He's back again, but no, I'll take it. I think it is for FAV. I think it's definitely the right place to go. If we're looking at the maps, they played Cafe twice, won once, lost once. They played Team Park twice, won once, lost once. So let's just try a new map. You know, like we gotta alternate it a little bit, and I think that this one gets closest to their playstyle.
Okay, let's see what people think about this matchup. We got our socials up and ready for you, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, the Japanese fans are definitely going for Guts in this one. 77% to 23 of FAV. Understandable. Guts have had a better overall scoreline, but it's time for us to kick it forward to our commentators. So, who's on the cast? It's Dev and Jess. Aussies, all yours.
Thank you, Milos. G'day, Jess. We got a game together now. Been on the desk for a bit, but keen to actually get hyped here. It's an all-Japanese banger. Guts versus FAV. Expectations going into this one, Jess?
Oh, look, I've been a bit of a Guts fan for a while since I sort of got ingrained into the study of them pre this season. And I sort of was like, oh, I really like this team. I love the way they play. I love the way they prioritize the objective, for example. But we've seen FAV do that this season as well. You know, I think they've got about 7 players, and I think Guts only has 8 compared to them, which is actually a lot when you compare them together. But it just goes to show that both of these teams will be looking to get that objective in their mind as number 1.
I think coming from Japan and obviously performing really, really well in the Pro League last season, both of these teams have pretty high expectations going into tonight. But that said, Guts have the head-to-head victory. They won and drew against FAV in the Pro League just recently and also in the Japanese Nationals. They also won in a best-of-3 against FAV, but FAV took a map. So overall, I'm kind of leaning towards Guts for this one, but I'm interested because it's going to hinge a lot, in my opinion, on Guts' attacks, which is just super aggro. We've seen some absolutely crazy bonkers stuff from them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think given Oregon has a lot of really small areas, it's very hard to explain until you see it, of course. But as we're jumping into the map now, that'll give us a good indication. A lot of really small areas that can take tight engagements. We've even seen some teams bring a shotgun on attack, you know, things like a sledge shotgun, Cyclops, for example, because they know that it's going to be short range engagements. So we'll see whether or not we got any funky bans. I don't expect any out of the blue bans here. I just expect them to be doing that particular Thatcher ban and of course maybe even a mirror ban.
Well, the Monty not something you see every day, but if you look back, it has been a ban from Guts in the past when they played Norengo in the Pro League and also against Cyclops in the past and occasionally against Giants, Xavier as well. So they just don't like the Monty. They're going to get that out of there, even though it's not necessarily something that FAV really favors. So that does leave us with the Thatcher ban out from FAV, leaving both Maverick and Carly in, so we know those come into play, especially the Maverick here on Oregon. That hard breach totally possible. The Wamai ban, I know you're a big BDS fan, Jess, and those guys have been banning out a ton of this. We've seen this ban come more and more into the forefront.
Yeah, I think it's a great ban. A lot of teams rely on the Wamai to be able to protect the ADSs as a secondary sort of layer of protection, especially upstairs in attic. You'll see a bunch of magnets raining left, right, and center. Valkyrie ban as well means the mirror is left in play. And if anyone knows APAC, you know that a lot of teams can run the mirror very well on every single map. So if they don't bring the mirror, I'd be surprised. I'd also be, and there you go, Light's going to bring it up. I would also be a little bit surprised if we don't have any other ability for wall denial now. We've got the Kaid there, so that's good. And that's going to force the Maverick to have to use his utility. But, I mean, top and bottom floor, you can get those walls open pretty quickly with the blowtorch.
Yep. Can counter that Kaid, even though the Thatcher's banned. Now, good versatility here in the hard breach, good flank watch. It's funny that we see number 2 with that Jackal again, something we've seen from him in the past. A lot of teams just opt to trying to use the drones mostly for that roam clear. Don't opt to get a lot of extra info gathering, kind of that bonus roam clear stuff. We've seen occasionally a Dokkaebi or a Jackal comes in, but I guess it can maybe speed things up here on Oregon in particular for that roam clear. But Guts, I mean, looking at this lineup, I have a feeling this is going to be mostly anchor centric.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a sneaky suspicion that they might actually be bringing the Jackal because he has smokes. And when you're going up against a mirror, a smoke is a really good way to cut the lines of sight from the mirror windows themselves. So I definitely hope they use it that way because there's no real necessity unless they're obviously doing it for the execute or they're blocking the mirror windows. There's no reason to use the smokes any other way. So we'll see if that's their plan with it. But I mean, this is a bit of an extended roam here. They're setting up a lot of rotates. I'm going to make the assumption this is for late ability for them to push up, and we'll see whether or not this takes FAV off guard.
So let's have a look, Fav. What you gonna do for this one? We've seen a couple of different ideologies as for this Oregon basement attack, whether that's a blue-centric take or a freezer-centric take, and the mirror windows does somewhat change the scope of things. There's that first ping from the Inox, and that's Lily on the objective, gonna go back into sight. Not something you see every day there, the alibi. Nice versatile operator, brings the shield, I think, is one of the main reasons you want to get that on your lineup, especially with that Wamai band. You have a few less operators, but now that we've got that smoke and the alibi both bringing shields, you've kind of got that double trouble going, and with that in the mirrors, you've got so many strong anchor positions to defend.
They almost were able to catch Hero on the back stairs there. There were some red footprints who were very indicative of someone who was standing there just mere seconds ago. They'll miss out on that kill, however. A bit of a late drone will deny that. And if they want to get the meeting hatch, it is Kaided. It's electrified, so they're going to need the Maverick to do it. But the Maverick seems to be focused elsewhere. He'll finally rotate into meeting to deal with that. And they also want to be able to get the freezer hatch. They're both electrified. This means he needs to conserve his fuel in his what is called blowtorch. It's blowtorch. I'm looking for the word there, Dev. My goodness, it's been a long day. But in his blowtorch, he'll need to conserve it completely halfway if he wants to get both. I don't think he'll be able to.
Yeah, but since there is just that kite, it means that there's no other wall denial on the forefront, so if the Hibana wants to, say, open up one of these mirror windows, that's still a possibility there. So perhaps later on in the game, if that makes a difference... Oh, we're actually going to see it. Look at that. Perfect telegraphing there. Shin is going to deploy that X-Kairos, but JJ is in a great position at the L-bend at Lockers to just shoot those off. So X-Kairos remaining, just the one left, and now Fav maybe stalling out here. 45 seconds to go still in this 5 versus 5.
Well, they've decided to change tact here, and they're deciding that the other mirror window is where the last set of X-Kairos will go. But guess what? They can shoot those off too, and that's why these mirror setups are very important. Of course, they will eventually pop the mirror, but there's a lot of prismas laying around to distract them from the push. 25 seconds left. There's a pinch push assembling, but no. Looks like, unfortunately, number 2 will rotate away from that pinch push, and he'll need his smokes to be able to assist with this because they've got 15 seconds left, and no one has died.
Just 10 seconds left. Favo just getting in the bomb site really quickly. That plan's trying to go down. Taipon gets forced out there. And how are Fav making this happen? It's all on Europe. We know how good this Jaeger can be, but against 3 players in the retake, this is looking so difficult. Might get the drop on Chloroform. Flicks to the angle. There you go. 1 bullet does the job. A double kill for the Jaeger on the round. Now in a 1 versus 2 retake, and Fav starting to take more conservative positions. Gonna play time here. 29 seconds for Euro. Not a lot of HP on the board either. Is there info for the attackers? Holding this post plant, a very difficult task is ahead of the Jaeger.
It's good that he is checking every angle. He knows that long lines aside, good spot on the legs there. He gets the down. He shouldn't need to confirm, but it is to Zofia, so he knows he has to. It's the last player left. 7 seconds. He needs to do it now. He will have caught it, but surely this is the denial. And Taipon says, get off the bomb. We don't need you here. And wow, that was a very quick collapse onto site. I was worried when the Jackal didn't commit to the back pinch push, but it didn't matter. He smoke sprayed down into hallway, and that's what they needed to zoom on in.
That's perfect. I mean, Light seemed to be in the ideal position to counter that push, just sitting on the bomb in Laundry itself, but Fav seemed to be very aware of that position, or at least doing their due diligence and checking all of those corners as they entered the bomb site. I think it was about 3 or 4 people, maybe 3 attackers rushed down in Laundry. Taipon to lead the way, not only as the Maverick, but with that diffuser in hand, found a kill, got that kit on the ground, and from that point on, it was a 4 versus 1 for poor Yura. And to think that we're at a position at 5 versus 5 with 20 seconds left for FAV to blitz in like that in the last moment. Very impressive stuff. Now, we might be concerned if we're looking at the end of rounds and saying, wow, FAV just don't seem to have made much progress. But if you can explode onto the bomb site with such success as that, maybe those doubts are unjustified.
It's almost reminiscent of a vitality push. That used to be what we say, that we would always say they're doing a vitality push, because vitality every single attacking round without a doubt would leave it to the last 20 to 15 seconds. So a bit of a throwback there, but you're right, if it works and it's consistently working, it's not just something that they're pulling out of their back pocket every now and then why not make it work? And you can see the verticals underneath double window there. That's a really good one. That'll allow them to play below and deny anyone entering through double windows. I wonder if they'll make a rotate below as well into kitchen. That might help them out. I'm not sure if Papillon has a TCSG or whether he's got the vector in hand. We'll see when he does. He's got the vector, so he won't be able to make rotates, but looks like he'll want to play a little bit aggressive with this vector over towards Big Tower.
But already that big tower control's been taken. Very aware of this flank is number 2 on the Jackal. And look how efficient this is from Taipon the Maverick. Not getting too carried away here. Not getting it too early. Doesn't want that aggression to come out from the defense. Looks like a multi-pronged push. A little bit of presence here on the master bedroom side as well, established by Afro. Player who's really stepped it up for his team over the last few weeks for FAV. I expect late round we'll likely see Shin rotate, perhaps the Maverick, to open up that Games Room wall, and then we'll have a pinch push from Attic and Games in tandem. Taipon having successfully opened the Attic wall, and Shin to pinch from the other side as well. Euro on cams needs to get off and be very cautious of those angles. They are now exposing him.
What a shame those X-Caros weren't just a little bit higher. It would have destroyed the Evil Eye as well. Look at that. So close yet so far, but that will keep intact. And there's a couple of cameras on him, but there's also a lot of vertical holes. I'm just noticing now at this top-down view how many vertical holes they've opened up that they can play below. So I hope the defenders plan on playing this, but there is someone downstairs to deal with them. Shin will finally take out Yura. That's the Jaeger off the board inside of Attic and Pig. And well, now he also has Cubby open as well, but there are a couple of C4s below Surely and Crazy Papillon as well. They're playing this all vertically and no one's come to clear them yet.
Attackers have located a bomb.
FAV might repeat exactly what we saw last round. A leap in through double window means he'll get JJ by surprise. He'll also be out of the way of a C4 unless one comes raining up now. He'll start the plant on a vertical, but no one's below to look up. They'll catch one, and it's all up to the vertical. Surely he can see, but no, he doesn't. This is what the purpose of it was, to stop the plant, and he actually planted on the vertical. Oh no, Crazy Papillon, you had one job, and you weren't successful.
For them to turn that around, like 5 versus 4 in the last few seconds, and to step it up and get that plant down. As you mentioned, there was that presence below, but too distracted and not able to deny the plant. Crazy stuff there in the last few seconds, and it's something we've come to expect from FAV in the late rounds.
Well, that's another good bursting crazy round out of FAV. Of course, that could have easily been avoided had Crazy Papillon looked up in the vertical even just 1 second earlier, and he could have denied that plant and won the round against so many bearing attackers. It looks like Guts are going to go back downstairs and try their luck again. Of course, this time I'm sure they'll be aware of the quick rotates we've been seeing from FAV. They've been trying to push multiple angles. When that doesn't work for them, they rotate, and they rotate very quickly. So hopefully Guts have read into this and adapt to it accordingly.
it's funny, isn't it? Because we mentioned how Guts are so good on their attacks, but FAV are no stranger to it either. And we've seen in the past, FAV really step it up at that aggressive playstyle, the blitz in the last few seconds. Now, we've seen some crazy games like that FAV Cyclops one on Theme Park a while back, and these kinds of aggressive playstyles, he's exploded in the last few seconds onto the bomb side, something that is fairly distinctive of those Japanese teams. Now, I'm just whipping up that result, and if you look at the CGG page for the FAV versus Cyclops game on Theme Park, right, a map where you'd think, yeah, it's going to be probably defensive favored, there were only 3 defensive rounds won that entire map. FAV was nuts at their executes on attack, as was Cyclops. And we're seeing that kind of play style and that skill at that late round on the attacking side continue to be demonstrated here.
Well, the Inox will play a key role again in getting rid of any of the potential roamers, but they are just lurkers at this point. They're quite close to site, so they can default back very quickly, and that's what Yura has done. He'll play the pillar position, which is a very key position, but also one that can go wrong very quickly if you peek out too early. So he'll have to wait until all of that utility is cooked out around him and delay as much time as possible. Kali in hand for Afro. They don't want to deal this time with the walls or the mirrors in the way that they have been. They've decided that they're going to just get anything off the walls how they can with the Lancers instead.
Switching off that, Zofia does forfeit some utility, but Kali brings plenty of utility on her own. There is actually no wall denial on the electrical wall, but those Lancers are quite versatile and can be used to destroy that shield, as we see. Lily gets aggressive off it, trying to catch someone out. And the X-Car is to be deployed on the wall by Shin, just the one left now. I don't think anyone is committing to watch that elbow flank from Lily. Just patient at the moment. 1 minute 15 remaining. FAV have made decent control. You'd think that Lily may back away, but the defenders have no reinforcements to board up that angle, that rotate hole, and get back into supply.
I'm hoping FAV have someone coming down Laundry Stairs, because this could take a lot of them off guard. They've just got under a minute left, and they've got a drone watching the elbow, as you said. They'll come in and pre-fire. Great shot there, and Shin survives with a lick of health. And that's going to be all up to Shin and Afro on the blue bunker take. Yura is going to be the head here to be able to spear back at these attackers. They'll rain on in and they'll catch him by surprise. It looks like the freezer is the only area of destruction they'll have left, and smokes will rain out. It's all up to Papillon and JJ. They have the plant denial they need. If Papillon can take this blue bunker against the Yo, there we go. It's all up to Crazy Papillon now. Can he do it? They know he's in blue bunker. He'll look the wrong way and he'll go down. And yet another round for FAV in what we would consider a pretty convincing round, even though the time delay has been something that's been a little bit of a worry.
I mean, FAV, they like to make us sweat, don't they? They like to leave things till the last minute, but they do such a good job of it, don't they? The opening engagement for Shin there, that's 2 rounds in a row for him to cut off Lily, trying to get aggressive at elbow, and then a great swing from Taipon to clear out the player at pillar as well. It looked like FAV had everything going for them. They found the first 3 picks before there was any possibility of a refrag from Guts. And we're just having a look at that scoreboard. 2 players from Guts in 3 rounds have yet to jump on that scoreboard, yet to be able to participate here. And it's because in the last few moments, FAV is so explosive and it's so difficult. Look at the lack of confidence here from Guts. They've been between laundry dorms, and now they're going over to kitchen and dining. One of the least favored bomb sites, in my opinion, the least defensible bomb site on this map. But at this point, you've got to throw anything out there to have a shot at clinging on to at least a couple of your defenses against FAV.
Well, if something's not working, why not give something else a go? And that's why they've decided here that dining is the play. I very much agree with you, James. I'm not entirely sure that dining is the play. I would have preferred to have gone meaty, for example, but maybe they feel far more confident with their strats here for dining. And given the Maestro is in play as well, there's a lot of long lines of sight that we've seen be employed in multiple regions now on this particular map. So we'll see if that plays handy for them. But FAV will struggle on a site like dining if they don't have the control that they need. Even late round, we saw them burst onto site. This is a very linear and horizontal site if you go just into dining. But if you take kitchen, that's where the vertical plays can start to give you a lot of trouble. So we'll see which way they decide to push.
Device planted.
In particular, the Nomad can prevent a lot of the flanks for this particular objective, but a lot of those air jabs, in fact, two deployed in a position that I hadn't expected, primarily around the rear tower. Oh, surely not. Surely not here, number two, holding that long angle. Look at this position from JJ, set up very nicely in the showers here, even if that wall to his right towards small tower is breached. He does have some cover behind that reinforced wall, rather behind the deployable shield. Yura to find the opening pick, and finally, we see Guts take the round into their own hands at the start. Number two goes down on that angle. Afro looking to cover, looking for refrag, but not going to happen. What a shot that must have been from Yura.
Well, he knew that there was some window presence, and that would have been called out from the smoke, who was hiding in behind the shield. And well, good call out, but would have them an easy kill there. Smoke will have to be rained out, and he actually accidentally drones inside of it as well, so that will take up almost half of his health. And if they want to keep the showers in their control, Guts have to be very careful. That's why those smokes are going out so early, because JJ has to die in this position. He has to hold it for as long as he can, or he has to clutch completely.
Oh, Shin, he's going huge right now, but JJ holds the grounds. Former teammates go head-to-head, and JJ comes out on top. 1 minute left. Now, Shin had used his utility already, opened up both the office floor, which then opens up the wall into the A bomb site and the showers, but JJ to stay alive there. Good info here for FAV, but they have not been able to contain these players running amok on the bomb site.
A mirror window will also deter them. They don't have anything they can use to deal with it at long range, as that's how they've decided to go here. It looks like they want to go for a dining plan. They have showers control slightly. There is a little bit of white stairs presence as well, so that's going to limit them from their ability to plant safely. They'll concuss over there to confirm the presence is actually there, and surely this peak will give away, but they've moved back. No one is actively playing on the mirror, and right below the Evil Eye, the plant will begin. No, it won't. Blowtorch will come out first, and Typhon will begin the plant.
Ooh. The cover has taken out, but look at this flank from Yura. Started the round strong. Gonna deny that plant as well. All up to Chloroform. Just about nothing he can do, and shut down there at the end. Guts, we question their choice to change bomb sites, but starting the round on their terms with an aggressive peak and never letting up seemed to do the trick. They're finally on the scoreboard here and are making FAV work for their bread.
I think it's interesting that they did win the one site that we would have considered technically the worst site in the entire sort of bomb selection that they could have gone through. I think a big part of that is that a lot of teams, even in scrims, will barely ever get to attack onto a dining and kitchen hold, because it just, by natural state of scrims and how they go, teams will try and perfect their strong sides and moving down, and then they'll go through their weaknesses bit by bit. So they may have not scrimmed that particular site quite a lot. It looked like they wanted to do a default one-dimensional push through small tower, and that didn't really work out for them. So good call there from Guts.
I think what really spelled death for FAV that round was an aggressive run out at the start. Just started the round on Yura's terms, and FAV, every round so far, they've had 5v5 in the last few seconds, and that's how they like to play it. At the end of the round, they go for those gun fights as they try and force that plant down, but this time Guts had the numbers. So I like that from Guts. Pick an unusual bomb site, play aggressive, throw off FAV. It worked, but now we go back downstairs. FAV have already attacked this bomb site successfully 2 times. No Carly this time around, though. Afri is going to stay on that Zafia. And as for Guts, for the most part, it is the same lineup. In fact, the exact same as the first time they defended this. No Ella, bringing that alibi instead. And look, to be honest, I don't feel like it was super impactful. I'd rather see the mute here. I know that that does lose the shield, but if they just use the mute on more of these walls, it'll make it more difficult for Shin to get them open and force Typhon to use some of his gas on that. It means he won't be able to get both of those hatches.
Yeah, we spoke about that only mere rounds ago about how the Electric Claws were doing their work by forcing him to choose where he wanted to use his blowtorch. It limited the Hibana and what they were able to get as well. And they tried getting the mirrors, but of course they couldn't get the mirrors when there were crossfires onto them. So you're right, that's a really good indication of adaptation they could have applied here. But air jabs will rain out and stop anyone from being able to flank from kitchen or meeting. And they'll drone down the laundry stairs. And this was what they did last time. The laundry push was quite good. Number 2 will go down to a peak from pillars, and we'd seen Euro do good work there before, but he's lost a lot of his health. C4 reigns up. That's a double kill, and that's an easy one to get Guts started. And ladies and gentlemen, I think Guts are all warmed up and ready to go.
Guts have realized the way to beat FAV is to fight fire with fire. Keep that aggression up. Don't let them get anything. That injured player there, thanks to the aggressive play from Euro, and then to not let FAV revive. Keep that C4 pressure on. Now we look at Afro, been such a star player over the last few weeks. Yet to really show up tonight.
Oh.
At least looks like a rotate here from FAV, but it's working out to some degree. Nope, Light to find his third on the round, just Shin. 1v4. Not really likely to happen here. In the bomb site, no diffuser, no chances. No stun grenades left. Pre-fired out and cleaned up from Lolly. That is unbelievable that once again, Guts have turned things around and playing the game on their terms.
Yeah, that double C4 really kicked things off, and you spoke about the previous round, how that Euro Jaeger peak really kicked the round off in their own favor, and well, we've seen a C4 sail out this round to secure that start to the round they needed. And I want to point out there, I think the reason I gasped before was Shin accidentally shot his X-Kairos to only allow 3 to place onto the hatch. You need 4 X-Kairos in total for a full hatch break, otherwise it just makes a little hole. So he had to apply a whole other set of Hibana pellets onto the hatch, which really was unfortunate, but they were down in numbers, they were down in time, so it wouldn't have mattered either way, but a bit of an interesting one there.
Well, it does make you wonder, right? Guts now, they took us to the weird bomb site, they went to kitchen dining, got aggressive and it worked. They went back downstairs and they already lost twice. They got aggressive and it worked. Now they're going back to dorms where Guts had won last time thanks to an aggressive jump in from Big Window and pressure from Trophy and Attic. Is this maybe going to work once again for FAV, or are Guts going to continue this pattern that they've seemed to develop here in the second half of this, well, half on their defense? And if that's the case, then I'm definitely going to be keeping a keen eye on the Guts players who are trying to get aggressive and take the fight to FAV.
Well, it's worked for them so far on the 2 rounds they have won, and we'll see them replicate the same strategy last time they went upstairs. They'll open up a bunch of vertical holes, which will inevitably allow them to hopefully clutch around or stop a plant going down this round, but I'm not entirely sure whether or not we'll have both Light and Crazy Papian play below again, given they're both the C4 players. But looks like Attic is where they'll start, and this is looking almost completely reminiscent of the other round we saw them where they had a top floor hold.
Yep, word for word, basically.
Yeah.
Now Shin to get in through Armory. Now, once again, I'm looking out for Guts. Where are these aggressive plays? We do have Crazy roaming once again downstairs in kitchen, exactly the same as what happened previously. Light as well. So once again, the 2 C4 players are on that roam to deny plant vertically. But come on, like, I don't think that trying to just play for plant denial is the way that you beat FAV here on the attack. They're so good in those last few seconds. And yeah, you might be able to get plant denial, but they always, if they have the numbers, they always have someone go and chase those players who are going for plant denial, and it makes it so difficult. So now here for Guts, where is that aggression? There you go, just a peek out from the bomb site. And that finds 1 kill already. That is huge. The hard breacher of Hibana goes down.
That was a really important pick. I thought last time that they shot those Hibana pellets there. They missed out on the Evil Eye, but someone didn't shoot it either. So I thought that that was a good adaptation. And grenades will sail into the ADSs even though they knew it was there. And well, Euro will escape with his life. There also will be 2 hard walls behind him because of the death of the Hibana. And finally, they'll cook the ADSs. But Euro surely knows if he can count in his head how many grenades have already sailed out, that he's pretty safe to stay there.
As such, Taipon to rotate. He may be that player with the grenades to flush out those positions, but he's also now the only player with hard breach. Gonna Maverick trick this wall, as Shin already taken out. Can't use the X-Kairos. We need some soft breach to help him out. Perhaps number 2 or Afro will be there to support. Afro just around the corner to open this up now with an explosive from the lifeline. There's an opening for FAV, but 4 versus 5, they don't have that man advantage. And that means it's going to be much more difficult to not only execute onto site and play the numbers game there, but also to hunt down those roamers below who have the C4s. 24 seconds left. They need to step it up right now.
They've still got the vertical pressure underneath, but Crazy Papillon isn't in the right position, and he knows it, but he doesn't want to expose himself. The plant will begin. Number 2 will pick up Yura. This is the perfect lob through. Surely that catches. Oh my goodness, another double. It's going to be up to the attackers to clean with 2 seconds left. Can they do it? No, they cannot. And wow, I take it back. Crazy Papillon was in the very good position to deny that. That's been practiced through and through.
Perfect stuff. You'd think that that default plan spot, the C4, comes out about classroom somewhere in there because that's where the games room floor goes down to. But no, as you said, playing inside kitchen, holes in the floor open means you can lob the C4 up through the holes in the kitchen roof. That lands up near the concrete and that goes straight in through games. Lands not only denies the plant there, but also cops another kill as well. So pretty fantastic to see that Guts going from 0-3 down earlier in that half to even things up with 3 straight rounds, and they're taking that momentum now into their own attack.
Well, I knew their setup was quite well structured. I personally enjoy a lot of vertical play myself, and I think teams that focus on plant denial with C4s or smokes or whatever it might be are far more tactically reliable teams, and I'm glad that Guts were finally able to show us that their strategy was a good and viable one, but halves will change here, and we've seen how crazy Guts can get on attack, and oh, I'm a little bit worried here for FAV. They showed a few good rounds, but they're crumbling so far, and I wonder if Crazy Papillon will live up to his name of being able to just absolutely gun out here on the Zofia. Wall denial won't play a huge part here. I mean, we've got the mute, but we've also got the Maverick, so I think there won't be too much of an issue here to get into site. It's how they'll play after that.
Attackers must locate and defuse the bomb.
My question is that vigil there from number 2. Potentially some roaming to come through. Yeah, there you go. Right up in the start. Roaming in kids' dorms. So, impact grenade as well. Already been used to make him a rotation to Pig. You can go through Attic, potentially make another rotation into Big Tower. So how's Guts going to deal with this one? It's very difficult to drone out that vigil. And Guts are not bringing the Jackal that we saw from FAV on their attacks. Is Guts aware that there is at least a roamer somewhere? For now, it seems like they're shifting their focus primarily onto the bomb side. 3 players going for big tower control, 2 players going for bunker.
Sometimes that roam presence doesn't really mean much if you can just have a flank hold, whether it's an air jab, whether it's a person watching, whether it's a drone, it doesn't really matter. Overall, the vigil might not have too much of an impact on the round if you can't get back to be able to get the flank off. You can see that the drone, for whatever reason, is trying to find out where they are. I think they need meeting control because they know they want the hatch, but the hatch is already open because this is a little bit of a meeting/extended hold, almost like an SSG roam, but on Oregon.
So how's Guts going to deal with that? They're going to just hard hit site. 3 players on the roam at the moment. It does mean it's very difficult for Guts if they just try and go through blue. And Shin gets down, chloroform, to reinforce the supply wall. And that means that the elbow control, the utility that Guts have expended on taking out that deployable shield, basically nullified here. And there's still a mute jammer to protect that wall. With no Thatcher on the board means that we're still looking at Light to step up here and be that wall denial. But that blowtorch has so much work to do, and Light can only be in one place at once, and there's also a limit to how much fuel he's got.
I like that he's only opened up a line of sight here. All they need to do is watch it from the back stairs, and if anyone tries to peek the hatch that has already been opened by the defenders, they'll be there to catch it. So this is a good adaptation. They're not fully committing to the roam clear. They don't need to, they feel. I don't know whether or not this will work, but once they open up this, they're hoping that they can bait someone to peek the hatch, and whoever's playing above can get that line of sight onto them.
Now type on to get aggressive, pinched out. The rear stairs presence in conjunction with blue is difficult, but this is when number 2 decides to go for that flank. Crazy Papillon's so aware, but there's 2 players there. Afro's gone to join number 2. The flashbang goes out, only 25 seconds left. Guts still trying to deal with these roamers from FAV. Light does find that opening pick, but can this flank be held? No, there's a refrag, and Light now taken down. Afro on the flank. Number 2 gets air jab. Yura, what is that? 2 versus 2. Guts are trying to take sight, but Chloroform to hold it. Shin there with the shotty. Yura rounding the corner. He's finished off as well. It may have been messy. The fight was everywhere. But in the last 25 seconds, well, these Japanese teams like to give us a show.
Shout out to our beautiful observer medics who just realized there was so much going on in every part of that bottom floor and middle floor as well. Obviously, as you saw the Ash run up the stairs to try and refrag, he just went, you know what, here's the top down. Everything's happening. Here you can see it all raining left, right, and center. Thank you very much for that. That was beautiful. And of course, out of the depths of nowhere, FAV clutched it out. And that was some good passive play from the anchor players there. I mean, we often don't give them a platform to be able to see or show how they shine. And I think that's why, you know, support players, you saw their Shin, and I believe it was number 2. They both had those really passive angles that allowed the attackers to just waste their time, and they just didn't have enough time in the end. So well done to them. And well, we're going to move upstairs now that they've won downstairs, and see whether or not they're just as good as with time delay upstairs as they are with down, especially with the Clash.
Now, I'm curious to know where the Clash is going to be playing, because I guess you could kind of rotate, get a bit of info gathering, whether the push is coming from Trophy, Big Window, Attic. You've got that movement.
10 seconds left.
But for Guts here, I'm looking at them to step up because, well, when FAV were on the attack, they took the first 3 rounds. And now Guts on their attack have already started struggling. It really does look like to me that FAV are in control here. And despite the fact that, I mean, coming into this match, I was definitely favoring Guts. They've looked better throughout the season. They have the better record. They even got a victory over Cyclops, which has historically been a super challenging opponent for both of these teams. Now, FAV, they have struggled here and there. Lost to Cloud9 just last week. And I mean, Guts also have the head-to-head victory between these teams. So for FAV to be coming out of the gate swinging here is something that I'm super impressed by.
Well, it looks like the bedroom is their first push and piece that they'll need to get on their... I guess we'll call it like what we used to call it, James, and this will be a little bit of an interest point for the viewers, is that we used to have this checklist process, and I don't know if this is EU only or whether this is worldwide, but all the attackers would have a checklist, like number 1, we'll need to take bedroom control. That means I need to draw. Number 2, I need to open up the wall. Number 3, this. So it's good to see that they're focusing on that. And air jabs will rain out not at the bottom of White Stairs. I believe that was over near Freezer Door, because they are aware that Afro was roaming downstairs on the pulse. I'm not sure if he still is. So that will stop him from being able to rotate up. He is, so that will stop him completely. And they have no idea Shin's watching them from a vertical above as well, but he'll get off that angle.
What's Yura's play here? Trying to get aggressive up White is just so scary, especially when, as you mentioned, Shin is directly above. Where is the push for Guts? We've got 2 hard breaches, and there you go, JJ to open up the wall of closet into the bomb site. Light there to open up a line of sight as well, but the gas comes through from number 2, and, well, that'll make it a bit stinky for him there in the closet. Yura finds somehow the breaching round frag onto Shin, who is the man to cover. Now we're looking at Afro, needs to step it up on this flank before long. We are in a 4 versus 4 with a minute left.
Well, unfortunately, due to the air jab, he wasn't able to rotate up, so instead he'll have to go all the way back around to the armory stairs if he wants to get back onto site. Typon is still making sure he has attic control, but surely he knows this is a bedroom push. They're going to go for the same sort of plant that we saw their opponents go just rounds before. There is a C4 below in the hands of Afro as well, so no one's there to clear. This could be a critical mistake.
Oh, no.
Chloroform will get JJ, and Oh, this is all kicking off now. Crazy Papillon will get number 2. C4 still below, as we said. Can they deny the plant? Light is trying to get rid of that clash, but he can't. It's an impenetrable shield. He'll keep zapping away, and with only 15 seconds left, can they get the diffuser down? They'll start. Pulse knows exactly where it is, and that's a double kill straight back for them. And whoo, it's looking like the game of double C4s.
Beautiful moment there, and as much as we would credit Afro there on the roam with the pulse to find that double C4 and essentially lock out the round, you've got to credit the players on site. Chloroform on the Jaeger and Taipon on the Clash just to hold Guts at bay. If Guts had managed to take out those site players and it was just Afro to try and clutch it, I don't think it would have been able to do it. There are places on that bomb site where you can plant safe from the flank below, safe from the C4. But no, I mean, credit to those anchors, credit to the roamers, and look at Chloroform having a huge game right now, 10 kills. Not necessarily a player that I would have highlighted in the past. I'd be looking more so at Taipon, more so at Afro, but to see these players from Afro, in particular Afro, from FAV Gaming stepping up right here against Guts, their rivals, it's fantastic.
That's what you want to see. You want to see a team that has players who can step up when necessary. Of course, a 5-3 shows that maybe both teams are struggling to get the rounds on the board that they were hoping. Castle will delay a little bit, but most importantly will block lines of sight that the defenders are hoping they can keep at bay. And one will go onto the meeting double doors so they can do a more effective meeting hold. They've decided to also open the lines of sight there. That's an interesting one. Generally, you'll keep that reinforced because it will stop the attackers from being able to get in and get access to where that rotate is for a plant. But what I think they're hoping they could do, given, look, Classroom's been ripped apart as well, it means they can deny the plant from very far away all the way in lobby. So whether or not they roam upstairs, James, and they come down Armory stairs and can deny it from a very long angle, that would be really cool to see.
The good old make the bomb site absolute hell for the attackers to plant in. And then it doesn't matter so much if the attackers take the bomb site off you because, well, they got to deal with that absolute headache. Now to look at Guts for a minute. They've started to slip here. They did manage to come back on their defensive half after forfeiting 3 over to FAV. But they lost that momentum. They didn't manage to convert it over onto their attack. And we've talked about how we thought that both of these teams have been so strong on their attacks thus far in the league. This vertical roam from Shin and Afro in tandem. I gotta say here, for FAV, we've seen a beautiful flexibility in their operator pool. We've had 3 different players across these 3 rounds play the Jaeger. 3 different players play the smoke. 2 different players play the skies. Have the flexibility and they're using it.
Well, we'll see whether or not that shows here in this particular round. Of course, they've decided to go into dining and kitchen, and that can be a notoriously difficult site. Proximity alarm will give away Light's position, but so will the grenades, and he'll decide to use that on the barbed wire for some reason. Generally, you want to keep those grenades in pocket because they can be very handy against Evil Eyes, for example, or even just against players as a whole. So maybe a little bit of a misuse of utility there, but this is the room they want. They want bombs, but they're not going to get it easy. Afro says, get out of here. It's my room to stay. And now they're sending almost all the attackers upstairs to deal with both of these players.
Light to find one, does even up that man count, but here Yura cautious of angles from below. Number 2's covering that. Look at this setup from FAV. It is so perfect. There is nothing Guts could do to overcome this. Pick by pick, they've got to claw this back. Number 2 feeling that pressure, but committing to the angle, lands the shot, and there's Yura gone down. Chloroform also using the vert to his advantage. Afro finds his seconds. Guts are relying on just Lily and JJ to hold on to this round, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen. FAV are demonstrating superior map knowledge now, and that teamwork has been to perfection. JJ has been the player to step it up for Guts in the season thus far, one of the most experienced players on this lineup, but it's going to be a difficult trek onwards. Lily as well looking lost, trying to push in these castle barricades, barring his way. JJ looks on forward, gets taken out, and FAV look to close this one out and take themselves onto match point. Lily finds a consolation frag, maybe a second. Nothing that's going to make a difference on the scoreboard at the end of the day.
Operators, you have run out of time.
He'll get a nice little hit fire there, but as you said, nothing that really assists the team in being able to come back. And given the round count now, I am so worried here for Guts. This is not what they had planned, I'm sure, and especially going on to Oregon, they would have felt quite confident given a lot of their attacking rounds on other very tactical maps. FAV here, I would say if any team around the world watches that previous round and wants to know how to understand and manipulate the map vertically for Oregon, that is the round to look at. I've not seen Oregon manipulate on a vertical level that way in a very long time, even since last, iteration of Oregon. So wow. You said map knowledge, I agree.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. That is without a doubt the best Oregon hold I've seen.
Yep.
And it was on the meeting bomb site, and yes, it wasn't necessarily for the anchors. In fact, it was to support the roamers. Like, you had those two players roaming upstairs, right? Afro and, I don't know, it was Shin, I think. On top of that, you had two players below, number 2 and Chloroform, holding angles to cover those roamers. That means that you're thinking, if you're an attack, right? Okay, let's just clear these 2 guys up top. We have 4 players, they have 2 players, we outnumber them. No, you don't. It's basically a 4v4, but there are 2 players who are downstairs supporting vertically. And I mean, it's not unheard of in general in Rainbow Six to do a strategy like that, but I've never seen that on that particular objective here on the new Oregon. So FAV, they haven't played it yet so far in the league, but man, they've shown that they can really step it up and show some innovative new strategies on this map.
Well, we've seen APAC be the innovators for a lot of different meta plays, and that's going to be one I hope I see a lot of teams do into the future in all regions. That was just perfection as to how to hold that side, and even just how to hold top floor as a whole, really. That might be something people start to bring in. So this is why we're seeing FAV on match point. Guts need to win the next 3 in a row consecutively if they want to make it to overtime, and once they make it to overtime, they'll need 2 more rounds to secure the win. So that's a lot of rounds in a row they're going to need to even get the win here on Oregon.
The depth and breadth of FAV's strategy right now is immense. Like, they've gone from doing a heavy roam here on the basement, which they did win, mind you, to showing us a complete strategy. The electrical walls have been completely open. Shin and Taipon are trying to play at the pillar. Look at that. Thank you very much, medics. We've got the rotate here from supply. We've got the entire electrical wall open. There's a Vulcan shield to enable aggressive peeks out through there. Now, Light might be able to dispatch that with a grenade, but surely there's an ADS to support it. Over here, FAV are just demonstrating an immense tactical depth here, the versatility of operators. Shin's playing the Clash now that previously Taipon was. Like, oh, it's so beautiful. I'm loving this, and this is not the FAV that I expected to come into this game.
It almost looks like they're just so confident on Oregon that it's scary. And I love that. And generally we talk about teams who swap roles and operators as being a negative thing. For here, it's been a really positive thing. I liken it to G2 and their versatility and their confidence in being able to swap operators. And look how much utility is raining down. They know exactly what they want to do. They know what they want to get rid of. They're droning really well as well. So I think for both the attackers of Guts and FAV obviously having really strong, you said breadth, I think that's a great word, breadth of ability to be able to set up in multiple different ways. I think on attack we're seeing Guts do it as well. They just need to be able to perfect their push, perfect their pinch. Drones will not assist them here. They need to hit heads.
Even in the rounds where Guts has found the opening pick on the attack, hasn't necessarily converted, and there's one against them. Lily goes down. Afro's been on fire. Crazy Papillon knows he needs to make a play, looking to sneak down the stairs. He's going to find one. That's huge control now, but the player in blue can flank him. Afro still to hold Freezer as well. He knows where the pressure's coming out from, so he's going to fall back. Fav still in firm control, though GG do have good control backwards, trying to push up, but no, it's just JJ. Man, how did things slip away like that? The 360 comes out from the Clash. JJ can find one, but can't find anything else. Fav Gaming come in and absolutely swag all over the Japanese team from Guts. Take this head-to-head and say, nah, we are the superior team. We're going to come out on top. That's a 7-3. Oregon is our home ground.
I am extraordinarily fearful for any team that goes up against FAV on Oregon. They showed that they knew that map inside and out, the manipulation of the map on defense and the confidence on attack. who they are a scary team, and you can see there all of the players of FAV giving it everything they've got. I'm so impressed. I hope that they've set the meta there at least that we saw for the meeting and kitchen hold, because that was beautiful.
I feel like I could just watch Afro and the boys run around all day. That was so damn entertaining and great to see that FAV are back in black, back in action. What a game we've just witnessed. Milosh, I'm sure you guys have a lot to say about it. Take it away.
We do indeed. James, do you have any mind reading